April 25, 1946. Portsmouth Naval Base. HMS Vanguard commissioned into Royal Navy service. 44,500 tons standard displacement. 8 15-inch guns in 4 twin turrets. 30 knots maximum speed. 8,250 nautical miles range. The most advanced battleship ever built. The fastest British battleship in history. The last battleship completed by any nation. She never fired her main battery in combat. Not once. The war ended before she was ready. By the time Vanguard reached operational status, battleships were already obsolete. Aircraft carriers ruled the waves. Guided missiles were coming. The age of the big gun ship was over. Yet Vanguard represented the absolute pinnacle of battleship design. Every lesson from 2 world wars incorporated. Every mistake corrected. Every innovation included. The perfect battleship built for a war that no longer existed. This is the story of HMS Vanguard, the ship that proved. Battleship perfection arrived exactly when battleships became irrelevant. The problem began in 1939. Royal Navy war planners examined projected battleship numbers. Germany building Bismarck-class, Japan building Yamato-class, Italy with new Vittorio Veneto-class. Combined enemy battleship strength would outnumber Royal Navy capital ships by early 1940s. The Lion-class battleships were under construction. 4 ships ordered, triple 16-inch gun turrets, modern fire control, heavy armor, but the 16-inch turrets would take years to manufacture. Earliest completion date was 1943. Britain needed battleships faster. The Admiralty had a solution. Use existing 15-inch guns in storage. The 15-inch BL Mark I gun was Royal Navy's most successful main armament. Equipped Queen Elizabeth class, Revenge class, Hood, Courageous and Glorious before carrier conversion. When Courageous and Glorious were converted to aircraft carriers in the 1920s, their 15-inch turrets went into storage. Additional guns came from other battleships during refits. By 1939, Britain had enough 15-inch guns and turrets to arm 1 battleship immediately. No manufacturing delay. No waiting for new production. Install existing weapons in modern mountings on new hull. Complete ship years ahead of Lion-class schedule. This became HMS Vanguard. Design work began July 1939. Modified Lion-class hull. 4 twin 15-inch turrets, so instead of 3 triple 16-inch. 2 turrets forward, 2 aft. Conventional layout. The turrets were modernized before installation. Maximum elevation increased from 20 degrees to 30 degrees. Extended range from 29,000 yards to 33,550 yards. Turret face armor increased. Roof armor thickened. Remote power control installed. New fire directors added. These were not World War I turrets bolted onto modern ship. These were World War I guns in completely modern mountings with 1940s fire control technology. Work stopped September 1939 when war began. Resumed February 1940 after Winston Churchill expressed interest. Design revised multiple times during construction. Protection against shell splinters increased. Secondary armament armor thickened to resist 500-pound semi-armor piercing bombs. Beam increased by 2.5 feet to reduce draft. This exceeded dock width at Rosyth and Plymouth. Limited maintenance options, but kept draft within Suez Canal limits for global deployment. The biggest design changes came 1942. Lessons from HMS Prince of Wales sinking. Prince of Wales lost to Japanese air attack December 1941. Torpedo hits caused progressive flooding through open watertight doors. Power failures prevented damage control. The ship capsized. Vanguard incorporated every lesson. Longitudinal distance between inboard and outboard propeller shafts increased from 33.5 feet to 51.5 feet. Single torpedo could not wreck both shafts on same side. Watertight access trunks added to all spaces below deep waterline, prevented progressive flooding. Side protection system raised 1 deck higher behind waterline armor belt. Maximum depth 15 feet over citadel length. Proof against 1,000 pounds of TNT during full-scale trials. Enlarged oil tanks reduced empty spaces that could flood and cause list. Greater provision for pumping flooded spaces. These changes delayed completion but made Vanguard most survivable battleship ever built. Laid down October 2, 1941 at John Brown and Company, Clydebank, Scotland. Given a 1 priority after Japanese invasion of Malaya, December 1941. Light cruiser HMS Bellerophon construction halted. Merchant shipping delayed. Everything diverted to complete Vanguard by end of 1944. Princess Elizabeth launched the ship November 30, 1944. Fitting out continued through 1945. Work stopped when Japan surrendered August 1945. Resumed under Admiralty pressure. Finally commissioned May 12, 1946. Total cost £11,530,503. £3,186,868 for main armament alone, equivalent to $800 million today. Final specifications were impressive. 814 feet 4 inches long, 107 feet 6 inches beam, 36 feet draft deep load, 51,420 tons full load displacement. Largest British battleship ever built. Heavier than Bismarck with same armament. 8 Admiralty 3 drum water tube boilers. 4 Parsons single reduction steam turbines. 130,000 shaft horsepower. 4 shafts. Design speed 30 knots. Sea trials. July 1946 pushed to 136,000 shaft horsepower. Achieved 31.57 knots. Fastest speed ever obtained by British battleship before or since. Vibration problems with 3-bladed inboard propellers. Replaced with 5-bladed versions. Did not eliminate vibration completely, but 31.57 knots remained official maximum. Main armament was 8 15-inch guns, 4 twin turrets, A and B forward, X and Y aft. Guns fired 1,938-pound armor-piercing projectiles. Muzzle velocity 2,458 feet per second. Maximum range 33,550 yards. Rate of fire 2 rounds per minute per gun. 16 rounds per minute total broadside. The guns themselves were 40 years old. The mountings were completely modern, hydraulically powered. Remote power control for training and elevation. Each turret could be controlled by director. Towers or operate independently. B turret could control A turret. X turret could control Y turret. Backup control if directors were disabled. Fire control was most advanced ever installed on British battleship. 2 director-controlled towers for 15-inch guns. Each carried Type 274 fire control radar. Double cheese configuration, range finding and spotting fall of shot. Admiralty fire control table. Mark 10 for surface fire control. First British battleship with remote power control for main, secondary and tertiary guns. Gunnery officer could adjust training and elevation directly from director without local turret control. This was cutting-edge 1946 technology, better than any battleship afloat except possibly American Iowa class. Secondary armament comprised 16 5.25-inch dual-purpose guns in 8 twin mountings. 4 American Mark 37 director control towers with Type 275 radar. British officials rated anti-aircraft suite as 8 compared to Iowa class 10. Tertiary armament was 73 40mm Bofors guns, 10 sextuple mountings, 1 twin, 11 single, most anti-aircraft guns on any British battleship. Each sextuple mount had close-range blind-fire director with Type 262 radar. Pacific War lessons applied, volume of fire to survive aerial assault. Armor protection was exceptional, 14-inch main belt over citadel, sloped inward. Total armor weight 15,000 tons. Belt armor, deck armor, turret armor, barbette armor, conning tower, splinter protection. Comprehensive scheme protecting every vital space. Naval historian R.A. Burt stated Vanguard was one of best protected battleships ever built. Only British capital ship to incorporate all World War II lessons into single design. Protection superior to King George V class. Superior to German designs, arguably superior to American Iowa class in overall armor distribution, compared to contemporaries. Iowa class displaced 57,540 tons, 9 16-inch guns, 33 knots, more firepower and speed, but Vanguard had superior armor distribution and seakeeping. Bismarck had 12.6-inch belt, but inferior fire control and no remote power control. Yamato displaced 72,800 tons with 9 18.1-inch guns, superior firepower but slower at 27 knots and consumed far more resources. Vanguard represented balanced British design philosophy: protection over raw speed, efficiency over maximum firepower, fast enough for carrier escort, well-armed for surface action, heavily protected for survivability. Post-war service was peaceful. February 1947 conveyed King George VI to South Africa as royal yacht. B-turret anti-aircraft mount replaced by saluting platform. Flagship of Home Fleet from May 1947. NATO training exercises through early 1950s. Queen Elizabeth, the Second Coronation. Review June 1953. Counter to Soviet Sverdlov-class cruisers mid-50s. But aircraft carriers became priority. Guided missiles replacing big guns. Battleships consumed resources better spent elsewhere. Announcement came 1955 while refitting. Ship would enter reserve. Final cruise 1956. Decommissioned. Scrapped beginning 1960. Crew requested museum preservation. Last British battleship. Last battleship anywhere. Request denied. The timing tells everything. Vanguard represented battleship perfection. Every innovation, every lesson learned, every design flaw corrected. Remote power control, advanced radar, comprehensive armor, excellent seakeeping, superior damage control, fast enough to escort carriers, powerful enough to engage any surface threat, survivable enough to absorb tremendous punishment, the ultimate big gun ship. Commissioned exactly when big gun ships became irrelevant. World War II proved carrier dominance. Battle of Midway, Philippine Sea, later Gulf. Air power sank battleships repeatedly. Bismarck, Prince of Wales, Yamato, Musashi, Roma, every major battleship lost to aircraft or submarines, not to enemy battleships. The surface gun duel era ended. Carriers projecting air power hundreds of miles became decisive weapon. Vanguard never fired her guns in anger because there was nothing to fire at. No enemy battleships remained. German Navy destroyed. Japanese Navy at bottom of Pacific. Soviet Navy focused on submarines and cruisers. No battleship versus battleship engagements after 1945. The weapon system was obsolete. Guided missiles would soon replace big guns entirely. HMS Vanguard proved that perfect execution of obsolete concept is still obsolete. Technical excellence cannot overcome strategic irrelevance. The best battleship ever built arrived when battleships no longer mattered. That is her legacy, not combat record, not enemy ships sunk, but perfect embodiment of bygone age. Last representative of weapons system that dominated naval warfare for 40 years. From HMS Dreadnought 1906 to HMS Vanguard 1946. 4 decades of big gun supremacy. Vanguard closed the book. The age of the battleship ended not with catastrophic defeat, but with quiet retirement. Superior armor could not stop guided missiles. Superior guns could not match carrier air wings. Superior speed could not escape nuclear submarines. The perfect battleship was perfectly obsolete. That paradox defines HMS Vanguard. Britain built the finest battleship possible exactly when battleships became museum pieces.